When humans began trading food with the wider galaxy, most aliens ignored it. The trade ports were full of bright containers, strange smells, and foods shaped by worlds far older than Earth. Against all of that, human supplies looked dull. The boxes were plain. The labels were simple. There were no colors meant to impress. People like Ben and Sarah, who managed supply ships, did not try to sell the food as anything special. They described it as basic nutrition, made to keep crews alive during long journeys. Ben had worked on supply ships for years. He knew how alien traders thought. They wanted rare plants, complex blends, or living cultures grown under perfect conditions. Human nutrient blocks did not fit that image. They were dry, compact, and designed to last. Sarah agreed with him. Humans did not bring food to impress. They brought it because someone, somewhere, might need it. At the first trade station, alien merchants walked past the human stalls without stopping. They glanced once and then turned away. Some even laughed softly. One trader scanned a human block and noted its simple structure. Too simple, the trader said. No adaptive enzymes. No layered flavor chains. Not even reactive elements. To them it was emergency feed, not cuisine. Ben watched this with mild interest. He had seen humans ignored before. It did not bother him. Sarah kept records and marked each rejection without emotion. Human traders were patient. They had learned that time mattered more than attention. The nutrient blocks were not made to excite the senses. They were made after long study. Human scientists had balanced protein, minerals, fats, and trace elements in ways that worked for the human body over many years. The goal was steady health, not instant effect. That idea did not translate well across species. Most aliens preferred food that acted fast, giving sharp bursts of energy or clear chemical signals to their systems. As days passed, the human food remained untouched. Other traders moved goods quickly. Rare spices changed hands. Liquids harvested from gas giants sold for high value. Ben and Sarah waited. They checked inventory, shared meals, and watched the flow of the station. One day, a minor transport accident changed nothing at first. A cargo ship from a small alien group arrived late and damaged. Their food supply had spoiled due to radiation exposure. The station offered replacements, but most available goods did not match their biology. Time was short. They needed something stable. A station worker suggested the human supplies. Not as a solution but as a test. Ben agreed. He did not promise results. He only provided the blocks and clear instructions. The aliens accepted them with low expectations. For Ben and Sarah it was routine. Humans often tested their food in hard conditions. That was how it had been designed. Still, the station logs recorded the exchange. Quietly. Without attention. The alien crew returned days later. They did not complain. They did not praise either. They simply requested more. This was unusual. Alien traders were direct. If something failed, they said so. If it succeeded, they demanded changes. These ones did neither. Sarah noticed the pattern first. The crew's health readings were stable. Better than expected. No signs of rejection. No chemical stress. The nutrient blocks had adapted without change. Ben sent the data back to human networks, marking it as interesting but not urgent. Word did not spread yet. The galaxy moved slowly when nothing flashy happened. Human food remained ignored by most. But a few small requests followed. Always quiet. Always practical. Always without praise. Ben and Sarah continued their work. They did not see themselves as part of something important. They moved cargo. They filled forms. They waited. In a galaxy full of noise, human food entered without sound. It did not demand attention. It simply worked. Things changed quietly without any signal or announcement. It began in a small kitchen on a trade station far from Earth. The kitchen belonged to an alien chef who was known for careful work, not bold risks. The chef had cooked for many species and had learned that strange food often caused problems. Still, curiosity was part of the craft, and curiosity finally won. The chef had seen the human nutrient blocks stored in a corner of the station's supply area. They had been there for some time, untouched, stacked neatly in plain containers. No one spoke about them. No one praised them. That alone made the chef wonder. Food that failed usually vanished quickly. Food that stayed often had a reason. The chef requested one block. There was no excitement in the request. It was listed as a test material. The block was brought in and scanned. The results were simple. Balanced. Stable. Nothing impressive. The chef almost returned it. Almost. Instead, the chef broke the block into pieces and studied its texture. It was firm but not hard. Dry but not lifeless. The smell was faint. There was no strong signal to the senses that made it useful. Strong flavors often clashed with alien biology. Neutral food was safer. The chef added the human nutrients to a basic dish already used for travelers. The process was slow and careful. Nothing fancy. No sharp heat. No chemical reaction. Just patience. The human food blended easily, more easily than expected. When the dish was done, the chef tasted it first. This was standard practice. The flavor was mild, but something unexpected followed. The taste stayed. Not on the tongue but deeper. It felt steady. Calm. There was no sudden burst of energy, no sharp change. Instead, the body felt balanced. The chef waited. Usually, food reactions were fast. This one was not. Minutes passed. Then more. The feeling did not fade. It held. The dish was served to a small group of travelers that evening. No one was told it was different. No one was warned. The chef watched closely. Plates were finished. No one pushed food away. No signs of discomfort appeared. Later, when the group left, their movements were steady. Their voices were clear. They did not rush for rest. They did not ask for stimulants. The next day, some of them returned. They asked for the same dish. They did not explain why. They just asked. The chef began keeping records. Over the next few cycles, the human nutrient blocks were used again. Always mixed. Never alone. Each time the result was the same. The food tasted better than expected. It supported the body for long periods. Travelers reported less hunger, less fatigue, no sharp crashes. The chef shared these results with another cook quietly. Then another. No public message was sent. No announcement was made. But in kitchens across the station, curiosity spread. The human food began to move. Slowly at first. A block here. Two there. Always in small amounts. Always tested with care. Meanwhile, on Earth, life continued as usual. Tom and Lily worked on a farm outside a small human settlement. Their days were simple. They grew crops meant for processing, not for display. The plants were chosen for nutrition, not beauty. Tom managed soil systems. Lily handled harvest schedules. Their work was steady and often boring. They woke early. They checked growth charts. They fixed small problems. They talked about weather, equipment, and future plans. They did not think about the galaxy. They did not imagine that their crops would matter to anyone beyond Earth. The food they grew was processed into nutrient blocks like the ones Ben and Sarah shipped. To Tom and Lily, these blocks were ordinary. Emergency food. Long-term supply. Nothing special. They joked that no one would choose to eat them if better food was available. They were wrong. As demand grew quietly, more orders came in. Human suppliers noticed a small rise in requests. Nothing dramatic. Just steady. Always polite. Always paid on time. Ben and Sarah saw the numbers change. They marked them as unusual but not alarming. Alien scientists began to notice patterns. Travelers who ate dishes with human nutrients showed stable health readings. Recovery times shortened. Long journeys felt easier. These results were shared in closed circles. Carefully. Without excitement. Some alien chefs began to value the human nutrients not for flavor alone, but for what they allowed. With this base, other ingredients worked better. Spices balanced more cleanly. Textures held longer. Dishes became reliable. Reliability was rare. Word spread through practice, not talk. A chef would recommend it to another. A traveler would request a certain meal again. Slowly, the human nutrient blocks gained a quiet reputation. On Earth, Tom and Lily noticed only that production schedules became tighter. More shipments were requested. Storage facilities expanded. New equipment arrived. They worked longer hours. Still, no one told them why. Lily once asked if something had changed. A supervisor shrugged and said demand was up. That was all. Back on the trade stations, alien traders who once ignored the human stalls began to pause. They did not laugh anymore. They did not praise either. They asked questions. Simple ones. Where was this grown? How was it made? Could supply remain steady? Ben answered calmly. Sarah showed records. Humans did not exaggerate. They explained the process. Balanced soil. Long testing. Careful planning. No shortcuts. Some traders nodded. Others looked uncertain. Food that worked quietly was unsettling. The alien chef who first tested the nutrients watched all of this with interest. The chef did not claim credit. That was not the goal. The goal was good food. Food that helped people travel, work, and live without harm. As more kitchens used human nutrients, something else became clear. The food did not overpower local dishes. It supported them. It adapted. It allowed cultures to remain themselves while becoming stronger. This was rare in the galaxy. Still, everything remained quiet. No one declared the human food a treasure. Not yet. But in private kitchens, in careful notes, and in steady health readings, the truth was taking shape. Far from Earth, human-made nutrients were becoming something special. Tom and Lily, standing in the fields under a plain human sky, had no idea that their simple work was feeding more than just their own world. Demand did not explode all at once. It rose in steps, quiet at first, then steady, then impossible to ignore. Human nutrient blocks, once stacked untouched in storage bays, began to vanish as soon as they arrived. Traders who had once walked past human stalls now waited in line. Some pretended they were only curious. Others were more honest. They wanted the food. At first, supply ships could keep up. Ben and Sarah adjusted routes. More cargo space was given to food shipments. Orders were filled with calm efficiency. Humans were used to demand changes. But this was different. Requests came from places that had never traded food before. Research stations. Deep space crews. Even private buyers who usually avoided basic supplies. Prices rose not because humans asked for more but because traders offered it. Competition appeared. Traders began to argue over delivery times. Some tried to reserve shipments months in advance. Others offered rare materials in exchange for priority. Human trade officers refused special treatment. Food was shared fairly. That decision slowed some deals, but it kept trust intact. Still, shortages began to show. On several stations, kitchens ran out of human nutrients for the first time since they had adopted them. Chefs complained quietly. Travelers noticed the difference. Meals without the human base felt thinner. Energy faded faster. Fatigue returned sooner. Once people noticed the absence, the value became clear. Alien scientists stepped in. If the food was so important, it could be copied. That was the logical solution. Research teams acquired samples and began testing. The formula was simple on the surface. Proteins, fats, carbohydrates, minerals, nothing unknown. Replication should have been easy. It was not. Every attempt failed in small but important ways. Some copies lacked stability. Others caused minor stress responses. Some worked for a short time then stopped. The balance could not be held. Adjusting one element caused another to fall apart. The food either became too strong or too weak. It never stayed steady. Scientists grew frustrated. They increased precision. They used advanced tools. They mapped every compound. Still, the results did not match. The human nutrient blocks worked in ways that did not show clearly on scans. One research team finally reached out to human experts. That was how Jack and Amy became involved. Jack had worked in food science for most of his life. He was not famous. He did not seek attention. He cared about systems that worked over time. Amy worked with him, focusing on how food affected both body and mind. Together, they had helped refine the nutrient blocks years earlier, back when no one outside Earth cared. When they arrived at the research station, the alien scientists expected secrets. Hidden techniques. Advanced chemistry. Jack and Amy disappointed them. There was no secret formula. Jack explained that the food was built slowly over generations. Humans had eaten, failed, adjusted, and learned for thousands of years. Each small change stayed if it helped. If it harmed, it was removed. The nutrient blocks were the result of that long process, not a single design. Amy added that humans cared about comfort as much as health. Food was meant to support the body, yes, but also to feel safe, familiar, balanced. Stress mattered. A stressed body did not absorb food the same way. Humans learned this through experience, not theory. The alien scientists struggled with this explanation. Long history was not something that could be copied. Comfort was not a measurable unit. How could this matter? Jack showed them records. Studies on long-term health. On slow adaptation. On meals shared during hardship. Amy explained how consistency reduced strain. How gentle flavors helped the body accept nutrients over time. The scientists tried again, applying this new understanding. They slowed the process. Removed sharp enhancements. Reduced extremes. The results improved but still fell short. The missing piece was Earth itself. Human crops grew in soil shaped by life for millions of years. Microorganisms. Weather cycles. Natural stress. The food carried that history. It was not just chemistry. It was context. This realization caused tension. If the nutrients could not be copied, then control became an issue. Some traders pushed harder. They tried to secure exclusive deals. Others attempted illegal replication. Black market versions appeared. Most failed. Some caused harm. That only increased fear. Human authorities stepped in. Not with threats but with structure. Production was increased carefully. Farms expanded. People like Tom and Lily worked longer seasons. Jack and Amy helped guide new facilities, making sure quality did not drop. Humans refused to rush. That frustrated many traders. But rushed food did not work. The balance broke. As shortages continued, the value of human nutrients rose beyond food. It became a resource for long travel, for recovery, for stability. Crews requested it for dangerous missions. Stations requested it for emergencies. Through all of this, Jack and Amy remained calm. They answered questions. They taught where they could. But they never claimed ownership. Humans, they said, did not invent nourishment. They learned it by living with it. Alien scientists recorded this statement many times. Competition continued, but it changed shape. Traders began cooperating, pooling orders to ensure steady supply. Some species adjusted diets to use less human food, saving it for critical needs. Chefs learned to stretch it carefully, respecting its role. Slowly the chaos eased. Human nutrients remained rare, but no longer unreachable. They were valued not because they were powerful but because they were dependable. They did not push the body. They supported it. Jack and Amy returned to Earth after their work was done. They went back to quiet labs and long meetings. They did not feel like heroes. To them, they had simply explained something obvious. Food worked best when it respected life. Across the galaxy, that lesson settled in. Human-made nutrients were no longer just supplies. They were proof that care, applied patiently over time, could create something no machine could replace. The meeting did not happen in a grand hall or during a public event. It took place in a quiet research center near a human trade station. The building was simple, made for work, not for display. Researchers from many species arrived without ceremony. They carried data, samples, and long lists of questions. Human experts arrived the same way, calm and ready. Among them was Sarah. Sarah had worked in supply and food coordination for many years. She was not a scientist in the traditional sense. She did not work in a lab every day. But she understood how human food moved from farms to ships, from ships to people. She understood why it was made the way it was. That was why she was asked to speak. The researchers began with numbers. They showed charts and patterns. Human food improved endurance. It reduced long-term stress. It helped recovery. They asked why. What process caused this result? What chemical factor had been overlooked? Sarah listened carefully. She did not interrupt. When they finished, she took a moment before answering. She said humans did not make food only to survive. The room was quiet. She explained that survival was the starting point, not the goal. Early humans learned to eat so they would not starve. But over time, food became something more. It became a way to care for others. Parents fed children. Communities shared meals after hard days. People cooked for the sick, the tired, the grieving. Food became a language. The researchers exchanged glances. This was not the answer they expected. Sarah continued. Humans made food to bring people together. Meals were shared, not isolated. Even during shortages, people tried to eat together. This changed how food was designed. It needed to be safe, gentle, reliable. It needed to support many bodies over long periods, not just give short bursts of energy. One researcher asked how this affected the nutrient blocks. Sarah smiled slightly. The blocks were not meant to replace meals. They were meant to carry the same care into places where meals were not possible. Long voyages, emergency shelters, dangerous work zones. Humans wanted their people to feel supported even when alone. That intention mattered. The researchers asked if intention could truly change physical results. Sarah said intention guided choices. Choices shaped design. Design shaped outcome. Humans tested food not just on machines but on lives. They watched how people felt after weeks, months, years. If something caused harm, even slowly, it was removed. She told them about farmers like Tom and Lily. They did not just grow crops. They watched the land. They adjusted methods to protect soil health, because healthy soil meant healthier food. They thought about the future, not just the next harvest. She spoke about Jack and Amy, who balanced nutrition with comfort. They removed harsh elements even when they increased output because stress on the body always came back later. Humans learned this through mistakes and loss. They did not forget. The researchers began to see a pattern. Human food was shaped by empathy as much as science. One alien asked why humans cared so much about others, even strangers. Sarah answered simply. Humans survived by depending on each other. Alone they were weak. Together they endured. Food was one of the first ways they learned to cooperate. Sharing food built trust. Trust built groups. Groups built survival. The researchers reviewed their own histories. Many came from species that valued efficiency above all else. Food was fuel. Personal. Controlled. Sharing was limited. Emotion was avoided. Listening to Sarah, they realized something had been missing. They asked if humans ever removed care for the sake of speed. Sarah nodded. It had happened during wars and crises. Each time the cost was high. Health declined. Morale fell. Recovery took longer. Humans learned again and again that ignoring care weakened them. That was why the nutrient blocks were slow to change. That was why production could not be rushed. Care required time. One researcher asked if this care could be taught to other species. Sarah said care could not be forced, but it could be practiced. It started small. Sharing meals. Eating together. Designing food for long-term well-being, not quick effect. The meeting lasted for many hours. Questions shifted from chemistry to culture. From formulas to habits. Researchers asked about human kitchens, family meals, shared breaks during work. Sarah explained patiently. She described how humans marked important moments with food. Births, recoveries, losses. How meals helped people feel less alone. Even in space, humans tried to recreate this. That was why the nutrient blocks were neutral. They did not override local flavors. They supported them. Food that allowed connection was stronger than food that demanded attention. The researchers left the meeting changed. Not convinced of everything but thoughtful. They began to adjust their own studies. They stopped asking how to copy the food. They started asking how to understand it. In the weeks that followed, new reports appeared. Stations that introduced shared meals saw lower conflict. Crews that ate together showed better coordination. Even when human food was not present, the practice of sharing made a difference. Sarah returned to her work after the meeting. She did not feel like she had revealed a secret. To her, it was all common sense. Humans had always known that food was more than nutrition. It was care made visible. Across the galaxy, that idea began to spread. Slowly. Quietly. Just like the human food had. And once again, care changed everything. The decision was written quietly into the Galactic Council records. There was no public debate, no announcement sent across the stars. Still, the change was important. Human-made nutrients were no longer listed as simple trade goods. They were marked as protected resources. Access would be fair. Distribution would be monitored. Quality would be preserved. This alone showed how much the Council's view had changed. Not long ago, human food had been ignored. Now it was respected. Council members reviewed years of data one last time. Health reports, travel logs, recovery times, cultural studies. Everywhere human nutrients had been used correctly, results were the same. Bodies endured longer. Minds stayed clearer. Communities worked better together. No other food source showed such wide and steady effects. The Council agreed on one thing. Human food did not act like normal fuel. It supported life in a deeper way. With protection came rules. Human producers would not be forced to rush. Prices would remain stable. No species could claim ownership or exclusive rights. The nutrients belonged to trade, not control. Humans accepted these terms without argument. They had never wanted power through food. They wanted stability. As the policy spread, alien cuisine began to change. Chefs who once used human nutrients only in emergencies now used them with respect. They treated them as a base, not a replacement. Local ingredients were added carefully. Flavors were adjusted slowly. Meals became more balanced. Diners noticed the difference. Food felt lighter yet more filling. Energy lasted longer. Rest came easier. Some alien cultures resisted at first. They feared losing tradition. But over time they realized something important. Human nutrients did not erase identity. They supported it. Dishes still tasted familiar. Customs remained. The human addition made the food stronger without changing its soul. This led to a new idea in the galaxy. Food could be shared without being stolen. Improved without being replaced. On Earth, farms expanded but not wildly. Tom and Lily continued their work much as before. New workers joined them. New fields opened. Soil was tested carefully. Growth was monitored slowly. Humans refused to exhaust their land. The Council's protection helped with this. No one demanded impossible output. Jack and Amy worked with new teams teaching balance. They reminded everyone that food worked best when it respected limits. More was not always better. Faster was often worse. Their lessons spread beyond human space. Alien scientists began to think differently about nourishment. Sarah returned to coordinating supply routes. Her job became more complex but also calmer. With clear rules and shared respect, trade disputes decreased. Trust increased. She noticed something else as well. Crews who shared meals argued less. Long missions felt shorter. Even mixed-species teams worked more smoothly. Reports confirmed this again and again. The Council commissioned a final study. Not on nutrients but on outcomes. What had changed since human food entered the wider galaxy? The answer surprised many. Conflict had decreased slightly on shared stations. Medical emergencies during travel had dropped. Recovery after disasters was faster. None of this was dramatic. But together it mattered. Humanity's strength, the report concluded, was not technology alone. Humans did not have the fastest ships. They did not have the strongest weapons. Many species surpassed them in raw power. But humans understood something basic. Life needed more than survival. It needed care. Food was how humans practiced that care every day. Alien delegates visited Earth more often now. They walked through farms. They watched families eat together. They saw how meals marked time. Morning, evening, celebration, morning. Food held it all. Some delegates tried eating with human families. At first it felt strange. Eating together without rank or order challenged their habits. Over time it felt natural, comfortable. Back in the stars, new traditions formed. Shared meals became common on long voyages. Even without human food, the idea remained. Eat together. Check on each other. Take time. The galaxy did not become peaceful overnight. Problems remained. But something had shifted beneath the surface. Human-made nutrients continued to move across space, protected and respected. They were no longer rare because of secrecy but because of care. They took time to make. They deserved patience. Humans never claimed credit for the change. When asked, they said the same thing again and again. Food was never just food. It was how they showed they valued life. The Council archived its final conclusion. Humanity nourished life not only by feeding bodies, but by feeding connection. And that, the galaxy learned, was a strength no technology could replace.